Minors. Do we love minors? I love minors.
Jeffrey was saying that he was Don's best friend for all these years. He was what I would call a professional women hunter. I think is not easy guilty. The question is, how far is he guilty? And how deep is he guilty?
A former Miss Arizona who calls herself a conservative, going public in an interview with KCBS, describing what she says happened backstage with Trump at a Miss USA pageant.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis.
Tasha Dixon detailing her discomfort.
To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him, get his attention.
She described feeling helpless.
Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
Soon. Thursday night. You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it? Okay.
When we were in New York City on the media tour, they were doing a book launch at Trump Towers for the Universal Beauty book, and they had a bunch of former Miss USAs and Miss Universes, and we did the red carpet, and that was tons of fun. And then they lined us all up, and Trump went down the line, and he shook your hand and, looked you over, looked you up and down, head to toe, and was just checking everybody out.
A past interview with Howard Stern now making headlines. Trump talking about how he had free reign at his beauty pageants.
I'll go backstage before a show, and everyone's getting dressed and ready, and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
Later in that same show, Trump is asked if he'd ever had sex with Miss USA or Miss Universe contestant.
Never comment on things like that.
Give us the first letter of the country you had sex with.
How many letters are there?
And another video where Trump is seen interviewing Playboy playmates and basks in the glow of a question from CNN's Jeannie Mose.
Have you ever dated a playmate?
I refuse to answer that question.
On the grounds that it may be true?
It may be true.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get around beautiful women.
When it comes to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, the media is missing the smoking gun. Now, I've sat on this information for years, and I really didn't want to get into this because this is not in my job description, and it's very dangerous to come out with this publicly. The smoking gun is Miss USA and Miss Teen USA. The pageants, which Donald Trump owned for years. Now, how do I know? Because I was one of the judges in these pageants. I trained dozens and dozens of the winners and the runners-up in public speaking to promote their platform. This is all I'm going to say about this. If you're in the media and you're looking for information, start with Billy Bush. Billy Bush hosted the Miss USA, Miss Teen USA multiple times. Nancy O'Dell is another one. And then go down the rabbit hole from there. There are people that know a lot more than those two, but start there. They're celebrities, and start there, go down the rabbit hole. And I think what you're going to find is going to be very, very upsetting. Don't call me. I'm not going to comment. I'm not going on TV and talking about this. This is very dangerous to sit on. If you decide to pursue this in the media, be very, very careful. These people are dangerous.
In this interview, we hear from Beatrice Keul, a Swiss woman who once competed in beauty pageants and worked in banking. She begins by describing how her life changed in 1993 when she was invited to New York for a prestigious pageant event organized by Donald Trump. At that time, Trump was a New York real estate figure who hosted modeling competitions and contests meant to bring attention to his businesses. Beatrice recalls arriving in the United States full of hope. She had been a finalist in the Miss Switzerland competition and even competed in Miss Europe. She believed this invitation might advance her modeling career. Once there, she met wealthy and influential people. One man approached her at a luncheon, Jeffrey Epstein, a financier later known for running a criminal sex trafficking network. He introduced himself to her with a simple phrase, "I'm Jeffrey. I'm Don's best friend." Epstein told her that Trump liked her and that he could arrange for her to attend exclusive parties at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's private club in Florida, offering to pay for her flight and hotel. At first, she was unsure what to think. But the more Epstein spoke, the more uncomfortable she felt. He bragged about powerful friends and even claimed he could connect her with people like Prince Andrew, referencing royalty to gain her trust. But the encounter with Trump himself became the most traumatic part of her story. After meeting him at the event, one of Trump's employees invited her to a private hotel suite. Beatrice says that as soon as she entered, Trump began to kiss her, touch her in ways she did not want, and tried to lift her dress. She fought back, yelling and pushing him away, using her height and strength to defend herself. She emphasizes that she fought him off and managed to leave, but the incident stayed with her for years. At the time, she didn't fully understand the context, the overlapping worlds of beauty contests, powerful men, and hidden networks. But only later did she see it clearly. After Trump, Epstein continued to pursue her, describing his wealth, his accounts in Swiss banks, and his connections. She saw that he had a method: meet promising young women in glamorous settings, gain their trust with promises of parties and opportunity, and then try to ensnare them. She later realized this was not harmless socializing, but part of a predatory system. Beatrice explains she refused Epstein's invitations and did not go to Mar-a-Lago with him, a choice she now believes may have saved her from deeper harm. Her voice breaks at times as she describes the emotional toll, the confusion, fear, and sense of violation that stayed with her for decades. In the interview, she also talks about the fear that followed. Since speaking out publicly about these allegations, she says she has received threats and intense public scrutiny. She makes it clear that sharing her story is not about fame or politics, but about telling the truth and urging others to understand how these powerful networks operated. By the end, Beatrice reflects on how she has spent years trying to build a life after these events. She hopes that by speaking openly, she can help other survivors feel heard and push for greater awareness about abuse and exploitation at the hands of powerful men. Her testimony, she says, is part of revealing a larger picture, one where influence and vulnerability collide.